Why? Hello, 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 hello. We have an exciting
Hi.
episode today. Now, I just wanted to take a moment and say hello, everyone, and welcome to the OPSEAT video podcast. I'm your host, Drew Jors, and we are also joined by Glitch
Glitch
Streams.
Streams, lead editor of OPSEAT.
And it's
Don't take my line.
sometimes I feel like I have to a little bit. It's fine, it's fine.
Oh, rude.
I kid. So all of us at OPC and our wonderful guests have come together to create this podcast and introduce you to successful gamers who have used various strategies to build personal brands and make profit with them. Please make sure to like and subscribe wherever you enjoy your live streams or your podcast. Now, don't forget to answer some questions or ask some questions and join us in chat for some Q&A. But today we are joined by Twitch partner StephOfAnime. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi! Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you back.
Yeah. So today we'll be discussing a popular topic for either veteran streamers or starting streamers. And basically what we're going to be working on is just wondering how to make an impact through charity streams. And for those that may not know, StephOfAnime is a great friend of OPC. And kind of
I love these guys.
It's honestly been amazing working with you, and to kind of give a little bit of background on everything, when and how did you first start playing video games?
Ooh, this is a great question. So I've been playing games my entire life, basically. My first ever console was a Nintendo 64. I was playing Mario 64, Pokemon Stadium. For those of you guys who don't know, I am primarily a Pokemon and Nintendo caster here on Twitch. So Nintendo games have been really, really special in my heart for my entire life. So I had a Game Boy Color, although I don't really remember too many of the games I used to play back on there because it's a long, long time ago. And yeah, I pretty much started with the N64. I had the original Xbox as well. And then pretty much I would play PC games. I never really got into the 360 and I never had a Sony console until very recently. So yeah, just my whole life I've just had a few consoles. I've had pretty much every single Nintendo console. Never a GameCube actually.
Really?
But yeah, I never had a GameCube. I
Oh,
know.
man.
Isn't that wild? But I had pretty much every other Nintendo console that was around. So that's pretty much where I got my start. And yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, I'm curious. On Xbox, what game did you play most on the original Xbox?
Say Halo.
Please say Halo.
I had Halo. It wasn't Halo. Okay, this is going to be a big meme. We're starting off the podcast very strong. Do you guys remember the Spider-Man game that was on the original Xbox?
It was amazing.
I played a scary amount of time on that game, just delivering pizzas or just roaming around shooting webs. Like I'm pretty sure it was Spider-Man.
Oh, man. So
Yeah.
obviously, as a primarily Pokemon streamer, there's been a lot of news flowing around with Sword and Shield. And what are your thoughts on these compared to the other Pokemon games? How does it compare to, say, Pokemon over the last 5 to 10 years?
Oh, this is a very great question. I am so excited to talk about Sword and Shield. So Sword and Shield came out this November, and honestly, it is my favorite Pokemon game to date.
It's so good.
I love it. The amount of quality of life changes in this Pokemon game. If you're someone who's never played a Pokemon game, you will be spoiled with Sword and Shield because they just did so much to make the gameplay fun, immersive. The music is banging. Oh my gosh. Just
God.
listen to the soundtrack and it's awesome. There are flaws with any Pokemon RPG because, it's not a Persona 5, it's not this in-depth, hundreds and hundreds of hours RPG in the sense where most normal ones are. But I absolutely love it compared to all the previous franchises or previous games, I should say, same franchise. It is my favorite. It is so good. I've been having so much fun. It's the first Pokemon game in a long time where I'm playing it off stream just as much as I'm playing it on stream. And that is not common for me. So yeah.
I think that's a big thing, especially with this game. And I think Penali in our chat has a great point of just like they built in so many fantastic things to just keep you playing raids.
Mhm.
Raids keep you coming back in the way that they're updating them now. Like, oh my, it's such
Oh
a
yeah,
good
and
game.
especially, Pokemon is one of those games where whether you're casual or competitive, there's a place for you, and they actually made a lot of the competitive features a lot more accessible. It used to be very difficult. If you wanted to get into competitive Pokemon playing, you would have to spend hours trying to get a legal team that would have the perfect stats, you can go really in depth into competitive battling, but with this game, they made it just so much easier to get a team. They introduced a feature called rental teams where you could just scan a QR code and boom, you've got a competitive team you can play, which is so nice for getting people to play a new aspect of Pokemon that they may not have done so before. So yeah.
Absolutely.
That's actually really cool. I wasn't aware of the QR code thing, and I mean,
Hmm.
it sounds like both of you guys have like a healthy love for the new
Yeah.
addition to
We
the
talk
series.
about it a lot.
Mhm. We could have a separate podcast on Pokemon Sword and Shield because that's how much I could
Specifically.
talk about it.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That's actually awesome that you have like this huge amount of knowledge base and love for it. And
Mhm.
I'm curious, as a lot of the Pokemon streamers in the community have been waiting for, this latest Sword and Shield to come out. Do you feel like the latest Pokemon game has helped with channel numbers, or maybe brought some of the audience back?
Oh, absolutely. I think that Sword and Shield really brought the directory together again. There was definitely a lull before Sword and Shield. Just with any game when it's been out for a really long time, people lose interest, and I think it's definitely helped my numbers. It's definitely, it's brought a sense of life back on Twitch with
Hmm.
Pokemon, where I feel it's also introduced a lot of new people back into the games who maybe didn't have a 3DS anymore, but have a Switch. They fell out of it, got back into it. Just having it on a new console, it feels like a renaissance for the Pokemon community, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, Steph and I, we're friends outside of the podcast as well, and so we talk about this a lot. And the number one thing we talked about when Sword and Shield were coming out was that the community was kind of in a stasis
Hmm.
because Ultra Sun and Moon was so. Let's go
It's
eat
not even
Pikachu
that
and
it was so. It's imagine, especially for our viewers who don't know, we had a game called Sun and Moon, and then you basically had an extension of the game that came out as its own game, but it was pretty much like having DLC where they made some
yeah.
quality of life improvements, but it was mostly surprise free. And so
Mhm.
having like 4 years, 2 years of Sun and Moon, and then I don't know if or maybe it was 1 year and then another year of Ultra Sun and Moon. It was just a
Yeah.
long period of the same stuff that you get bored
Yeah.
after a
And
while.
when Let's Go came around, that was also just kind of I think a lot of us ran out of content very quickly.
Yeah.
And so
I think if
having
you guys
Sword
check out our the other OPC podcast I was on, I actually talk a little bit about Let's Go and how it's a great game to introduce people into the franchise, but for making content, not so much. It's just a very limiting game. They took out some mechanics that, Pokemon content creators really rely on to do some fun and innovative stuff. So,
like
yeah.
battling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very true. And I mean, you've been able to maintain and hold this community even through the lull and the stasis part of it. But you have such a close knit community. Now, would you say that having a closer, kind of bringing it back to the topic, would you say it's important to have a close knit community to be more beneficial with events such as charity streams?
Oh, absolutely. I think the charity streams that do the best are the ones that, you can be passionate about and your community can rally behind. If there is a charity opportunity or any sort of opportunity, you don't think that it's a good fit for your community, that's something to consider when doing your first charity stream is this something that me and my community can get behind? And that's the first thing that I do when I, think about what charity stream I want to do. I love doing charity streams. I do multiple every single year. And one of the first things is, what does this charity do? Is this something that I know I can be passionate enough to convince my community that, this is a really great cause and we're making a difference by choosing this specific charity?
Definitely. And I mean, when looking through charities and different things like that, maybe some people who either they've been streaming for a while and never done a charity stream, or maybe they're just starting out. How would you go about approaching a charity, saying that maybe you want to work with them for, let's say, fundraisers, or even just getting the knowledge piece about that charity out?
Hmm. So, first of all, I want to tell all of our listeners that don't be afraid to do a charity stream depending on your size. Whether you have 2 viewers or you have 100 viewers or 1,000 viewers, every single dollar counts. And so, if you love charity or you just want to make a difference, the first step is deciding I'm going to do one. And whether you raise $5 or not, that's going to go somewhere where people need it. And, every single dollar adds up. So the first thing that I do when looking to work with a charity is I actually use this great resource. It's called Charity Navigator. And there you can actually see ratings for charities based on, where does their money go to, what's distributed, like, how much do they spend on marketing versus how much goes directly to their cause. And that's a really great way, especially if you get an email from a charity or if you're searching for a charity, to know, where is this money actually going, especially on Twitch. You don't take, taking other people's money lightly. We want to know, hey, where is this money going? I want to see if I can follow up and see any updates on where things are going. So Charity Navigator is a great resource where you can see all of the top charities with what they're doing, and maybe even a charity that's with the top amount of stars that, you haven't seen being marketed around. You can find some gems on there. That's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I use the resource Tiltify. Tiltify is a really great way where you can integrate donations through charity on your stream without you having to receive the money yourself. Again, it's you have to have a lot of trust when you do charity streams. You don't want anything to come off suspicious by taking the money yourself and then giving it to the charity, which you can if there's no other way to give to the charity. That's also fine. But I feel that there's a lot more trust when you can do it directly to the website and have people donate directly. And so Tiltify is a great platform that lets you donate directly to where it needs to go, and it also shows up on your stream. So in terms of actually reaching out to charities, always look for an email, look for a website link. A lot of times charities love to work with you. There are some charities now that have Discords. I know St. Jude has a Discord server where if you want to get involved, you can join there. Just look for a point of contact and just ask about what you can do. A lot, especially at events like TwitchCon and PAX, there are some charity representation there, and they will give you resources to get you started. So honestly, just find the charity you want first, and then the rest will come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, once you select your charity, which you have supported a ton this year, really,
Mhm.
and you finally get to go and do those streams, and it's just like, what are some of your favorite moments from some of the charities, from some of the charity streams you've done this year?
Ooh. I'm going to give a general, and then if you guys want a specific answer, I can try and think of a specific thing. There are two things that come to mind when I do charity streams that I absolutely love. The first is getting to hear very personal stories. I know when I did some St. Jude fundraisers, I got to hear from people who were donating saying, my niece was at St. Jude. And so, this really helps. And I've seen what this does for people, and getting to hear stories about, with Make-A-Wish, someone who knew that somebody, got their wish granted through Make-A-Wish, and getting to hear people's personal stories and attachments and why the charity means so much to them. It just makes the experience so much better for me, and it makes me feel so good about what I'm doing. And that's the first thing. The second one is a fun one. I love the memes that come with charity streams. We do little fun gimmicks on stream to raise money, and it's all for a good cause. And definitely from eating wasabi to getting up and doing the chicken dance to karaokeing silly songs, it always makes for a good, fun, lighthearted time. And so those are, I think, the two just general things that I love the most about doing charity streams.
Definitely. And I mean, so talking about like some things that like people do when they do charity streams, they have like little incentives, which you can do with Tiltify and things like that built in, which are really cool. As someone who's like participated in a lot of fun charity streams myself, make sure that your incentives are reasonable. 100%. Just like, what are those random little tidbits? Kind of, somebody recommend like eating like a tablespoon of salt as one of my incentives. I didn't realize how terrible that would be. So 100% I recommend like not only doing your research on the charity itself and doing what you love, but also just don't ever do a tablespoon of salt as an incentive. Your body rejects it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
On that note, sorry to cut you off, Noah.
You're good.
Don't be afraid to adapt in the moment, especially with a charity stream. If you see that a certain incentive, is not really getting a lot of attention, you can lower the price for it and, say, instead of it being a $50 incentive, I'm going to make it a $20 incentive, because you know what? If you're getting a few more $20 incentives instead of a $50 one, that all helps. And, there's nothing wrong with changing them in the moment. Your community will understand. It's your stream. So that also is a big thing. And if you take a tablespoon of salt and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna die if I have another one. You can say, I'm taking this incentive off. Like I've done it however many times. Like we're not gonna continue to do it. So adapting in the moment is really important, and you don't have to be afraid that just because you made a really pretty graphic that said I'm gonna eat salt, that that's a contractual obligation to eat salt, because it's not.
True.
Listen.
A chicken dance would have been a little bit more reasonable, I believe.
The charity streams, they make you do wonderful, terrible things, to the point where because as you said, like we all have experience with charity streams, and at one point it became an incentive to get me tased as many times as possible.
Oh my god.
And at one point it had happened so many times that like my right leg was just completely like fried.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
But at the same time, it was like it raised so much money.
Yeah,
and my hair right now, this was actually like a stretch goal. And I was like, okay, $800 and I dye my hair right now. 20 minutes later. Literally, like, it's those beautiful moments like that.
Yeah.
That was the first time I dyed my hair too. Through a charity stream. And it's one of those things where, like, if kind of bringing it back to the point to where, like, if you don't know whether it's, the right spot in your streaming career or anything like that, one of the things as content creators is we want to be able to, engage the audience and bring them together, and bringing people together for a great cause is one of the best ways and easiest ways to do that. Getting people excited about helping others, in fun ways to where they can kind of torture their broadcaster a little bit.
Yeah. And I
had to eat vegetables once, and that was horrible. I know some of you guys are like, eating vegetables, really? But no, I hate vegetables. And you know what? I ate a lot of terrible vegetables for a very good cause.
Steph's favorite vegetable is Reese's Cups.
Yeah. See, you said vegetables, so I was already ready to cringe, and then you said Reese's, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's really good.
So, you did kind of hit on this earlier, but at what point in your streaming career do you really think you should look to engage with the charity fundraiser and engage your audience in it?
Always. I don't think you should have a size. I think you should, if you have something that speaks to you, do one every single year. Pick a charity that you have an attachment to, or somebody who this will affect, or even if you just like what they're doing and you want to support that cause. I think that as soon as you start, if you want to, you can get a few IRL friends, and say, hey, I'm going to do this stream. You want to come and throw a few dollars? And I don't think you should ever limit yourself to a viewer count, because that's what streaming in general, right? You shouldn't make that your primary focus when you're starting your content, in my opinion. It's like, it's great to grow, and as you grow, I think you can get more ambitious with the types of charity streams you do and the types of assets you have to help you out. But I mean, if you just have, I'm going to eat a Bean Boozled bean on stream and it's just your face cam and you have nothing else going on, I mean, hey, that's making a difference. So always start, just do it. If you're thinking about 100%. It, you're like, oh, I don't know, do it. You will have so much fun. And again, let me give a great example. At St. Jude, $25 is enough to give a child a post-chemotherapy party, that they have confetti, they have cute little balloons. $25 gives a kid that, that you can raise that, you can do that, you can go to a few friends, and it changes a kid's life, and it makes them get something really special during a really hard time. So there's a whole bunch of other charities, again, that do tons of amazing things, but it goes, I think, I'm trying to think, I think it was with, I don't remember which other charity, but it's like $3 to give somebody like a mask to protect their face. Every dollar counts. So
100%. Yeah. And it's definitely been a really interesting journey, because, we've been friends for probably about 2-3 years now. And it's been awesome to see like the way your charity streams have sort of ramped up. As one, you've gotten more comfortable with doing charity streams, and two, you continued to grow. So it's like, when we first met, it was kind of that, like, let's just play video games and I have some like fun incentives. Yeah. And then most recently, Pokethon came around. And that is just like, it's an exponential level change. And it was super awesome to see. So, I mean, on that topic, can you tell us a little bit more about Pokethon and what the process was like getting all that set up?
Oh my gosh. Pokethon was a very cool experience. So that was a charity marathon that was not just me. Previous to this event, I've always run my own charity campaign solo. I've done them all myself on my channel. This was me and 15 other content creators who got together to raise money for direct relief. If you guys don't know what direct relief is, they send medications out to countries all over the world and all 50 states in the US. US. And so especially during any sort of disasters, if a hurricane hits, they can be the first to send out medical supplies, which, can save lives and is really important. And they work, with just all sorts of countries that are third world and things like that. And yeah, so this event was so special because it was a lot of content creators coming together and pooling all of our communities, all of our resources, all being in person. That was awesome. And we got to do the stream at Direct Relief's headquarters themselves. So we got to see the warehouses, the cold rooms that had the medicine, seeing their shipping schedules of where this medicine is going at what time. And that was really special because, I do charities with or without physically being there, but getting to see firsthand where that money is going. I talked in the beginning about having like that trust with a charity. I feel so privileged to have been able to go out to California and see just what they're doing and meet the staff, and all of the staff there are so hardworking and love what they're doing and, love humanity. And, it was really special to be a part of that. We raised a crazy amount for our first Pokethon. This is the first year of the event of this kind. There were, previous renditions, of Pokethon, but they were under, like a different team than what we had this year. And we raised $45,000 for Direct Relief as a team. It was amazing. A very different experience from doing one on my own, but it was so much fun, and I would love to do it again sometime.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And like $45,205, like it's just the amount of people and like the work that went into that, and then the amount of money raised is just astronomical.
It blew my mind. We all went into this not really knowing, like we just wanted to make a difference and come together and bring the Pokemon community together. You have great events like Zeldathon, and others that, where communities come together and, try and raise as much as they can. And, Pokemon hasn't really had something like that. So we really wanted to just to do something and to see how many people came together, for a franchise that's really well loved by all ages. It was so cool.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, here, Glitch, we have a question in chat if you want to go ahead and read that one. Yeah, I think that's a really good question.
Finale in chat is asking, she said, we've already done a bunch of charity streams, but is there any charity that you still want to work with in the future that you haven't yet?
Ooh, so I think one of my long-term goals is I want to work with as many different charities as possible. There's some charities that I love working with. I love working with St. Jude and Help Hope Live, Make-A-Wish, all of those. But I love expanding, I guess, not my resume of charities, but I want to help as many different causes as I can because, each cause does something unique that is impactful. And, I don't know if there's one specifically off the top of my head where I'm like, I really want to work with this one, but I haven't yet, because usually when I really want to work with them, I do it.
Yeah.
I kind of do it in the moment. But my goal long term is to work with as many different ones as I can, ones that I feel like, wow, they're doing something really amazing. And I know that I can contribute in some way. That is my goal long term. I would have to, again, do my research and look into doing some more. But yeah, I haven't even decided yet for 2020, like which ones I'm going to do. I just know that I want to do more and, just help make a difference.
I know the feeling because like there's the two that I've started to gravitate toward, especially this year, the Trevor Project and Extra Life, which I
do want to work with Extra Life at some point. I haven't done an Extra Life one yet.
They're so good. It's actually a fun fact. The reason I'm attached so hard to like Extra Life is because they're part of the Children's Miracle Hospitals, and I was very sick when I was young, so I kind of attached to those causes because I was in that system when I was a kid,
right?
And so to have that, it was kind of like paying it back in a way.
Yeah, pay it forward. Heck yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go.
Talking about like wanting to be able to help all these different charities and everything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes we want to be able to help as much as we can. But as a broadcaster, sometimes we might worry about maybe I'm doing too many charity streams, or how do I figure out whether I want to do a charity stream every month or if I want to do 2 big ones a year. How do you go about tackling, that general thought process where you don't really want to burn out the community on always having a cause to get behind?
This is super important and actually something I consider a lot when I do my charity streams. Now, I do let me think. I guess one per season is about how I've done it. And I've actually this year experienced an issue where I got reached out to, by charities saying, hey, can you work with us this month? And I think I got 3 charities that wanted to work with me, 2 weeks before Pokethon, which was the big event that, I put a lot of time into. And it broke my heart because, I want to, raise money for as many causes as I can. And that's why I'm saying long term it's going to happen. But that is a really important consideration, especially if you're doing streaming part-time or full-time. You don't want to burn out your community and keep asking, for people to give because, the way I like to see it is I would rather do a few a year where, you can really make, a big bang out of the event and put all your energy into it versus if you do like events as often as you can, then, you're going to risk, the returns not being as much. And I'm not saying, again, don't worry about how much you're going to raise in the end because just trying is doing something, but you don't want to burn out your community and you don't want people to get desensitized to the idea of your charity streams, like, that they're not, this special, amazing thing that you can do. So the way I see is I try to space them out. And especially, if you have certain commitments and like a certain month, you're not going to be able to really take time to plan it out and do it, find the times during the month where you're like, okay, I feel secure enough to do it. And don't beat yourself up if you can't hit every single charity you want to, because you have next year, you have the year after that to plan and do stuff like that.
100%. And the planning is, God, it is probably one of the most like tense things. I remember when we were trying to get Love for All to work, because you were one of the first people I reached out to, so I came back to you a lot with ideas.
I love planning, but yeah, you have to be very organized because, again, flexible to change things on the spot, but especially if you're getting other people involved, organization is huge. That's one of the differences between doing something like Pokethon and doing something like my own charity stream is I can an hour before my stream being like, you know what, I'm scrapping this. I'm going to do something completely different. But if you have other people involved who've made time in their schedules, to do a certain segment with you or to help you in some way, you can't really like adapt as easily. And so you kind of have to plan that a bit in advance.
100%. Like I remember just the sheer amount of spreadsheets I had for Extra Life and then the complicated one we had for Love for All. And it's just like, if you're able to get that golden moment and like really communicate with the people that you're asking to partner with you, it is just such a magical experience when you finally get to work. It's just like, you're just sitting there kind of celebrating to yourself. So speaking of kind of the planning and like what really helps make charity streams run, what tools do you typically employ when it comes to making a charity stream or planning one?
So I mentioned earlier about Charity Navigator and Tiltify. So going beyond those two, getting things for giveaways has always worked really well for me. And something that's really cool is we talked a little bit about trying to reach out to charities. There are often times where you can reach out to companies and say, hey, I'm doing this charity stream. Do you mind giving me something that I can give away? Sometimes if you can't afford to get something yourself, like, Steam cards always a great thing you can do, like $25 Amazon gift cards, like plushies, little fun things like that. But if you can't afford that, try reaching out to a company and saying, hey, do you mind giving me just a product that I can give away for the charity? And I'll talk about your product on stream. And I know that's something I think GameStop does is GameStop for Make-A-Wish. Some streamers, they will actually give GameStop prizes to people who do Make-A-Wish streams, I think in December or something like that. It's super cool. So, always shoot your shot, always give it a try, otherwise find something. Maybe you can are you talented in art? Can you make like a print that'll be a giveaway? I see people do like card art giveaways that were really, really cool during their charity streams and just different things like that. What can you do that can get people really excited? And, it's all in the name of charity, right? So even if you're not like thinking, oh, this is like the best thing I could give away ever, it's like, it's not about that. It's about, people just having something fun, while doing something great.
100%. I think, go ahead, Drew. I'm so sorry.
That's totally fine. I mean, talking about like being able to reach out to brands and work with these charities and to bring a community together, it's truly like it really helps make an impact, whether it's through your community or whether you're trying to grow as a person, a creator, or even just a human being. Because when you are being able to hit some of these goals or work towards them, you are able to even meet friends that you wouldn't have through not doing a charity stream, because you meet people that you can work with at the charities. A lot of times they are like at the charity, they're probably working there because they're kind, fun, loving people, and some of these people that you can be in contact with can be some of the best friends that you meet for the rest of your life. And like I've gotten to go on trips through a charity that I work with called Anime for Humanity. And basically with that, I've met amazing human beings that I never would have thought of if I never agreed to do like a first charity stream. So if you're ever trying to like broaden your horizon, also outside of content creation and things like that, it's just a really good stepping stone. And you'll be surprised like the impact that these have on your life, not just in terms of growth for your community or growth for, just thinking that you're doing an amazing thing, because I mean you are, but there's so much more to it, and I highly recommend that if you're kind of like at a lull or in stasis, not with the games that you're playing, but content creation itself, it can be a really good way to revitalize your love for what you do and the content that you create. It's just
Absolutely.
one thing I wanted to
That's
point
so
out.
well said. It's so true. You get very inspired, getting to see, what you can do with just a few dollars,
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, I'm
Noah and I just
sorry.
want to
I was
talk at
doing
the
the
same
same.
time.
Listen,
You're in sync.
we're working on it. A little too in sync. But
I've
so
always wanted to be in a boy band.
oh my god.
That was good.
Please don't quote me, Noah.
Oh, I'm quoting that. So going back to like obviously like or really it's like charity streams can be such a revitalizing thing or just a like such an exciting thing to do in general. But what would you say is like your favorite event you've done so far? Would it be your own or Pokethon or
Oh, that's tough because I love all of them for different reasons. Probably, Pokethon just happened as the time of this podcast is happening last weekend. And, that was a very, very special experience. I think, again, the whole combination of there were other content creators who were just as excited to be there, getting to meet staff, getting to see the warehouse. I definitely think that one was my favorite. But all of them have a special place in my heart. It's kind of hard to choose, all of them, make an impact in a different way. And, even like my first charity stream that I ever did, it was for Save the Children. It was after Hurricane Harvey hit. That was the first time I did a charity stream. And, just that one being my first ever charity stream that I did, on my own, that I, got together, like, that's special too in its own way where, it was the first time I ever made incentives and, just tried to bring people together and that, that also is special. So I think all of them, they do different things. They have their own moments, but if I had to pick the all-time one, Pokethon would be it. Yeah.
It's awesome. Like truly. And kind of just if anybody's listening and they're kind of like really nervous or don't really know how to exactly get everything started, how would you describe like your maybe like a 5-step little roadmap to doing your first charity stream? Like what would you do first?
Ooh. So I guess it depends on your comfort level. If you're someone where you feel that, you need a little bit of help, maybe from some other content creators, other streamers. I think a great resource we haven't touched upon yet is a lot of Twitch teams. Oh my God, Twitch streams, Twitch teams. They actually open up when they're doing a group charity event where anyone in their community can come and contribute. I'm on the team, the Elite Four, and when we were raising money for St. Jude, we had a team open where anybody could join in and start fundraising. And whether you had a $25 goal or a $100 goal or a $1,000 goal, you can do that. And I know there have been other teams in the past who have done that. I know Team Sin Squad, when that was active, they would let anybody come in and fundraise with them. I was on that team, and that's actually, I think, how I got even more involved with charity was, again, being on a team of people who were excited to do something together. So I guess when you're first starting out, you can kind of decide, do I want to look for, a group of other people who are raising money and, join, their efforts first, or do I want to do one that's specific to me individually? Both are fine. Both are great. And, they have their own pros and cons. Obviously, if you do one by yourself, you have more control over exactly how that event's going to go down versus if you're part of a marathon or part of like a specific team thing. But sometimes, you might feel a little bit more at ease if you have some other people who are more experienced helping you out. I think kind of deciding that first and foremost would help a lot. And then from there, you can kind of decide if you want to draft up incentives, make a plan for yourself, keep it kind of flexible, but, just have an idea of what you're going to be doing. So,
yeah. And I know those are some amazing points. And I mean, when I may be your uncle, as if we've ever done a veteran suicide awareness stream, I have not personally worked with the organization, but hopefully with being able to communicate ideas and stuff like this through the podcast, I mean, if you ever reach out to me or like talk to some of us, like we might be able to help you have the tools to be able to organize something like that for your stream, because I know you also stream
Absolutely.
as well. So this is kind of one of the reasons why we wanted to be able to talk about this stuff on the podcast, because maybe you don't know somebody who's benefited an organization that is really near and dear to your heart. But as a broadcaster or content creator, you might be able to start, building these steps to do it either on your own stream or get some of your friends involved. And I know that a lot of people in our community would be like more than happy to do stuff like that, or to work with an organization like that. Now, one thing that I realize on Twitch is there are so many different people and so many different
100%.
There are so many different charities that like maybe they need a little bit of help, or maybe we want to like send some love to all of them. But I mean, if you go on Tiltify, there are thousands of charities to be able to support, and it's amazing because you can go through there and see that like there's like $105,000 for Haiti relief. There's everything, and it's really cool to be able to bring people together and then pick what's near and dear to your heart and like grab your friends that also have similar interests, and just really support the people that you care about with the people that you love and also care about. So yeah, if you ever have any questions, like feel free to like reach out to us either at OPSEAT, or you can DM me, Uncle, and I'll help you run through all that.
I think that is one of the biggest resources that like it's so simple, but also it's just like other people in the community you're involved in or other content creators. They are your biggest resource. If you're nervous about creating a charity stream, or you just need like a little bit of help, or really if you just don't feel comfortable about doing it solo, then like other people can make it so much more comforting. I was so nervous planning Love for All this year, and I asked Steph first because like I knew she knew everything, like everything under the sun about charity streams, and she comes in with so much energy. And I was like, if I'm gonna make this work, I want to do it with the people I care about and with the people that know what they're doing, because I want to do something good.
You killed it. You did a great job.
And absolutely, you just never feel bad for asking for help, especially when it comes to a charity stream, because it's like everybody wants to do good, and so nobody's going to be like, why the hell are you asking me about help for a charity stream? It's like, no, people are so willing to help for it. So like use your greatest resource. It's your friends, it's fellow content creators. They are more than willing to help you.
Absolutely.
And it looks like we have Game Master, who's looking for a little bit more in specifics about some of the most memorable moments you've had during a charity stream, Steph.
Ooh.
Like, is there maybe you absolutely loved doing the chicken dance as an incentive?
I mean, Pokethon's very fresh in my mind just because that happened, this past weekend. And I got to be Steph Harvey during a Family Feud segment. That was a ton of fun. I surveyed the entire Pokemon community with some very spicy and great questions. And I wore a suit. When we hit a certain milestone, I put on a mustache. And man, it was very uncomfortable, but it was hilarious. That was really memorable just because, it was hilarious and it was really fun. And, it was cool. Again, we had some milestone goals that we hit, to make that part of it. So I think that's been one of my most memorable. I was looking forward to that for, the whole weekend that I was there. I was like, oh, I'm really excited to do this segment and, see what happens. So I think that's one of the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
For sure. And so addressing just the charity streams that you plan, how do you make them special? What makes the StephOfAnime charity stream special? What do you do?
Are they special? I don't know. I guess for me, I just do what I know I do best is I put on the show that I like to put on. And I find charities where, again, even if I don't have direct experience with, what they're helping with, I believe in what they're doing. And so to me, it's just kind of wanting to do my part, and I'm not someone where, just because I'm doing a charity stream for a certain thing, like I'm still going to go and support other people doing other charity streams or doing their own, or even working for the same cause. I know when I was raising money for St. Jude, I would go and click on that little Twitch tag, for St. Jude, and I would go and support, other people's streams as well. So, to me, it's not even about making them special. It's just doing them. And, I guess they're special in the sense where, I'm me and no one else can do things the same way that like I can. But I don't really focus too much on making them unique. I guess in the terms of incentives I do where, what's something that people would want to see me do, but in terms of the actual stream content itself, I kind of just do what I do, live on the air, and I guess I make my case why we should all come together and support a very cool cause.
Definitely. And I mean, you do what you do and you do it so very well.
Aw,
But
thanks.
I know that like sometimes it might have not been the easiest to be able to accomplish, some of these fundraising goals, or maybe you did a charity stream that didn't necessarily go the exact way that you'd hoped.
Right.
What's maybe like a learning experience that you might be able to relay to somebody so maybe they can avoid it with the charity stream?
Ooh. I
I'm
think
throwing
what
the
I was saying,
curveballs. I'm sorry.
this is a great question. I feel what I was saying earlier about feeling like you can adapt on the fly helps a lot with combating that feeling of being disappointed or worried about something. I've definitely had incentives where they weren't really used, and it's a learning experience to be like, okay, this is a cool idea in theory, but people didn't like this, and that's why something that helps is, if you see a meme that's doing really, really well, capitalize on it and, make that a new incentive that comes in place. I know with Pokethon, for example, we had like drawing, like doing makeup and making people into clowns, and I would just say on the spot to be like, if we reach this goal, I'm gonna clown like every single person in this room, and I didn't expect that to do well, and it did, and that did better in place of things that weren't doing so well. So trying not to be so caught up in the numbers and the exact incentives, and just kind of, again, focusing on that every single dollar counts, and that you're bringing your community together. And even if you don't raise any money in your first charity stream, do you know what you have done? You have raised awareness for a charity to X amount of people who might not have known about what that was, before. And that is also huge. Just getting the word out there that, hey, this charity exists, this does this specific thing, that helps them, any sort of awareness, retweeting, charity streams, just even putting on Twitter, hey, I'm raising money for X, X charity. Like, that is giving them attention, that might get somebody to donate who wouldn't have before, and so trying to kind of look at it that way and, set your expectations like reasonably. I think that helps a lot. But yeah, I've definitely had it where, some things don't go so well. And that's why I try not to focus on that. I try to focus on what am I doing? What can I be doing? And, what's working.
Totally. And adaptability is honestly one of the biggest things. I remember during Extra Life this year, somebody DDoSed the servers for the donation thing
no.
for 10 hours of our 25-hour stream.
Oh,
I remember that.
no.
Yeah, and I was so stressed out because most of our like biggest content was based on the punishments we would get from donations. And like we were just like,
Right.
we gotta keep the momentum going. So like all of us running it were just like, you guys be funny on camera for like 5 minutes. We're gonna go talk.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
and
Yeah.
we went out and it was just like, we got to find some way to keep the momentum. So when the servers do come back up, we can make up for lost time.
Right.
And we had only set a goal for like $3,000 that year. And we ended up raising 25 within the 15
Oh
hours
my
that we
God,
had.
that's amazing.
And it was all because in that moment where those 10 hours, we just kept building the incentives, the punishments into
Wow.
the games instead. So if you lost, you did a punishment versus like, oh, you got a $25 donation, spin the wheel.
Right.
Um, and so it's just like adaptability to be able to your keep your audience entertained and to
Mm-hmm.
keep the momentum of it's just like, guys, it'll be back up soon. But for now, we're not gonna make you guys
Oh,
just not see it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that even reminds me, even during Pokethon, we had, I think, 2 hours of our 12-hour stream where we had tons of frame drops. And it's like, what do you do about that? We're in this warehouse directly connected to Ethernet, but there was some sort of issue going on. And, it is stressful to be like, oh, this sucks, especially when you work so hard and, you get all these things together. Sometimes there are things outside of your control like that. Again, it's kind of one of those things where you just gotta stay focused and, not let it try and deter you too much, and, just do what you can, and we've all been there. Life happens. Your audience will understand. If they, if they don't understand, tell them, be honest. That's also something to be like, hey, I'm really sorry this is happening. I didn't want this to happen, and just be honest, and people will be understanding of it. And, you can always get them next time. If something's going wrong the first time, it's like, just do another one. Don't be afraid to never do one again just because something went wrong the first time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that also just goes in hand with like just creating your content where like, even if you're not doing a charity stream, it's, you know, you do a lot of things for your audience, and even going back to being able to raise awareness about the charities that you're working with or hoping to work with, even if you raise absolutely no money, even just working with specific charities, you might be able to add resources to a palette of somebody who didn't have them, which is pretty important, because I know as a content creator, you're supposed to know your audience, but sometimes it can be hard to know your audience that well. So like, let's say if you're raising money for a mental health awareness charity or anything like that, just being able to provide resources for people that, you know, maybe they didn't know that that kind of thing existed, can be really important to actually get to know your audience and truly make that impact through charity.
100%. Like, I think two of the biggest things that I ever learned about my community when it came to charity was, one, the reason we chose the Trevor Project is because a lot of my community is in the LGBT plus community, and they had all told me these stories, because I make a, like, you got to make a point to know your community, know what they've been through, and they told me about all these like really rough moments that they had, and they were really excited because June was Pride Month. And so we chose the Trevor Project, and to see everybody light up and get really excited and be like, not thankful, but just like to know that the person that they work around in their community is just like is going like all in and like collecting all these people. I think that is one of the things that they appreciate most, is when it's like you're listening to their problems, you're listening to what they want to support, and then you find a way to support them as directly as possible. And then the second thing I learned is a little less serious, in that I learned that incentives that physically put me in pain, physically or mentally put me in pain, is how to attract them. Tasing me, done. Dyeing my hair, done. Embarrassing me to no end by putting me in a dress multiple times. I'm watching you. Done.
Can I do your makeup?
Yeah. You've been saying that for about a year now.
I know, he hasn't let me do it yet.
That's not true.
Well, we have it recorded on the internet now. You're gonna have your makeup done by Steph, and
yes,
that's something I would love to see.
So Drew, I'm not putting this podcast out. I'm just establishing that now.
Oh my god.
But honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure learning so much about how you kind of, you know, do what you do in such an uplifting way and an inspiring way to a lot of the different communities that you're part of. I mean, you're in so many different communities, and it's really cool to be able to see that, you know, either the teams that you're a part of and everything, you know, can come together and just make such an amazing positive impact. It's really cool, and I really appreciate you having you know, made time to be on the OPSEAT podcast for the second time.
Of course,
it's been absolutely amazing, and Glitch is always wonderful to be, you know, working on our next boy band together.
Yeah, what's our boy band's name called? Like, what is it?
Not...
Is it the Shade Throwers?
I don't think so. We're in sync enough, okay, but it's ENUF.
In sync enough.
Yeah, it's totally
ENUF.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Basically, we wanted to be able to let you guys know as a community that like there's a huge impact that you guys can make through charity streams, or just getting involved with people that are also working towards them. And if you ever wanted to be able to find a little bit more, you know, insight to who you might be as a person, as a content creator, we highly recommend, you know, getting involved with charity streams. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter, anything like that. I know we have at StephOfAnime, at GlitchStreams, and at DroopyDoors TV. And we really appreciate all of you being here today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. I love getting to talk about charity streams because, you know, I think the gaming community specifically is very giving. You know, I think that Twitch has released metrics, and there are even other platforms as well, like YouTube, where I think it was like 25 million or $1 billion raised for charity in just 1 year. I think it was 2018, like something crazy like that. And, you know, it's so cool that you can just go just beyond playing games and having your own content. And, you know, again, like go outside of that sphere and like affect someone's life. That's awesome. That's so cool.
I think, yeah, I remember seeing the YouTube stat. I think it was like just like a large portion of it, even like there was the total amount, and then there was like how much YouTube raised, and then there was like, this is like Markiplier's and Jacksepticeye's stream was like, I think like a third of it just in one stream. It was wild.
And it's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I see some people in chat love what you guys do. Listen, it's a group effort. So you guys who are listening, if you've ever given to a charity stream, you're part of that and you get credit
Yeah.
for that. You know, it is a group effort. And so I'm just appreciative to have community members who, you know, trust and believe like in the charities that I pick. And I especially love when you get follow up, you know, either emails or pictures or whatever, you know, to be like, look what you did. It's amazing. It's so cool.
I think one of the biggest moments, or one of the biggest things, is like, we're just somebody who kind of plans it and turns on the camera. It's you guys that really make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And without you, we wouldn't be able to do near as much good as we do.
Those are big facts.
Yeah. Yeah, true. You're getting me in my feels today, man.
Oh, I apologize. But I mean, truly, gaming has been like incredible. I mean, there was 2.8 million even last year from St. Jude Children Research through Guardian
Yeah.
Con. 2 million raised through St. Jude Play Live. 1 million of that in the first 19 days. Even just like
crazy.
the ability to come together as, you know, the Cubic Collective, even through the internet, like even hashtag Save Trees is at 18 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just the way that people are able to like be brought together in an exciting way. It's really cool to be able to bring all our audiences collectively as well to help benefit. So,
Absolutely.
again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for just, you know, hanging out to talk, and hopefully we can help some people, you know, either plan their own charity streams or find a way to make their own impacts with them.
For sure. And guys,
Absolutely.
make sure you're telling us what topics or what guests you would like us to have on the OPSEAT podcast. It helps us a lot. And I guess we'll see you guys next time. Maybe. Drew, am I outroing this?
We're good.
All right.
So thank you so much.
Yeah. Make sure you eat your vegetables, guys.
Or
Bye.
Reese's Pieces.